All right, I think I'm ready to get started. Are we all ready? Everybody ready? Yes, let's go. So I am excited to welcome everyone to our second Fireside Chat. My name is Hollis Caswell, and I am the chair of the membership committee. So I've been a member of INACSL since 2017, and I'm going to be your host today for the Fireside Chat on Pain Points and Insights, a deeper dive into our special interest group, operations and technology. So again, if you are just logging on, please comment in the chat box where you're logging and watching from and what your role is, just so we can get a sense of who's out there and what you all are doing today. A couple housekeeping things, just so you're all aware. These meetings allow our members to ask questions and understand the many resources that INACSL has. These are very informal, so please feel free to raise your hand or write in the chat box. If you have questions or you want clarity on something, we're happy to answer that. We're here for you. We're going to try to do these every other month. Our next one, hopefully, will be at INACSL. We're working on that, so we'll get to see some friendly faces there. But after that, it'll probably be, I think we're thinking August. So keep in mind, keep looking at the website. We're going to try to have these every other month. And if you should have any questions during the conversation, like I said, raise your hand or put in the question chat box. And I have my helpers keeping an eye on that for me. So that way we can get your questions answered. And then we can't not say, if you have technical difficulties, please email INACSL info@inacsl.org. And so they can kind of help you because, it wouldn't be a simulation without any technical difficulties at some capacity. So great. And I see everyone's chiming in the chat. That's excellent. Excellent. So all over. All right, so today we're going to welcome Christina Grosso and Valerie McKenna from the Operations and Technology Special Interest Group. Thank you for joining us today around the campfire. We're so excited to have you. I'm going to have you each introduce yourselves to the group and just tell us a little bit about your role and what you currently do, and then how you got started in INACSL. So Christina, can we start with you?
Certainly. So my name is Christina Grosso. I'm the simulation lab coordinator for the University of Central Florida College of Nursing in their STEM center. I am your boots on the ground, running around the lab like a crazy person, doing anything from spraying fecal spray on mannequins to creating a schedule. I see a few other Florida people in there represent.
And Valerie, you want to give us a quick little blurb about yourself?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Valerie McKenna. I am the Director of Simulation-Based Education at the University of Connecticut School of Nursing. I've been in this role as director for coming up on 4 years. Prior to that, I am also from Florida. So again, Florida represent. um, I have held a variety of roles, mostly in education, but now as director, I really do wear that other hat of operations. And of course, it wouldn't be a full immersion without embracing technology, since that is so big of a part of simulation. And Hollis, you mentioned about getting involved with INACSL. So I first became I think, an active member in, I want to say 2015, when I joined, and I attended the inaugural INACSL CAE Healthcare Simulation Fellowship. And I know it's kind of morphed, I think, over the years, but that was kind of where I got my real immersion with INACSL, and haven't looked back, because it's been a great organization to be a part of for all of these years.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, what we're going to do today is I have a bunch of questions, a couple questions I'm going to throw out there, and you can kind of tell me what these things look like in the day in the life of. So my first question I have is, what is waiting for you on your desk Monday mornings in terms of simulation operations? Like, what happens Monday mornings?
Val, you can take that one.
Okay, sure. Yeah, I can take that first. So, well, I mean, there's always something waiting, right? I'm sure everybody can relate to that. The thing that I left off with before I stepped away today was working on scheduling, actually arranging our summer semester for our accelerated students, trying to figure out, group sizes and setting up the weekly schedules and what sims are going to happen when. It's kind of always something, but that's waiting for me to complete, as we speak.
I'll have to echo Valerie. Monday is usually when I put on my coordinator hat, and that's when I'm sending out my emails to the students when they're supposed to come, to the facilitators, what simulations they're running all week. If we have an IPE, sending emails to the other parties and where to go, what to do, what time to be here, pre-simulation materials. I usually save that for Mondays because then it kind of gives me a little bit of a reminder of what my week is going to look like.
Okay. So, and no surprises today?
No, none, zero.
You mentioned you're just getting back from spring break. I'm surprised there's no surprises, right?
I know, and this is our first day back from spring break, and somehow the technology works. Nothing's broken. The Wi-Fi is great today. I don't know what's happening, but I'm grateful for it.
Yeah, because we all know, like some day it works and some days it doesn't. So you just know
Hollis.
every reason.
Hey, Hollis, this
Yes.
is Beth. There's a question.
Sure.
Does anyone use some scheduling program to help with their scheduling? And I wondered if Christina or Valerie had an answer, and I can chime in after that.
Thanks, Beth. Yeah.
We're pretty analog over here right now. We use Excel and OneDrive. So we just create the schedule, send it out, let people type in their own availability in terms of scheduling facilitators. We don't have any kind of software that we like.
Yeah, same here. I haven't delved into the some of the offerings that I think some groups have made. So I lean on Excel to first organize based on each room I have in the department and by time block. And then I use the calendar feature in Microsoft to then book those rooms, so that everybody can log into a central place and be able to see, is that room available or not. I share the Excel spreadsheet with the people, once I get a draft going. So like the clinical coordinators can take a look at those schedules. My lead operations coordinator can also see. And then when it's, finalized, then it, is put out for mass distribution. It is a little, maybe not the most refined or streamlined process, but, it's at the moment it's getting the job done.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll chime in real fast. I'm Beth Hallmark from Belmont, and we're building a new center that opens in April. And we have gone with Learning Space, which is through CAE. And it has a feature that your inventory of your disposables and your mannequins and your rooms can all connect. And so we put a request out to our faculty or to the simulation groups, the different groups like PT, OT, nursing, and they send us their requests. We're putting those in, and then we're just getting trained on it. But hopefully we're going to be able to see that linkage. So if a room is reserved, then the mannequin moves with it and the supplies move with it, and it pulls it out of our inventory. So we're getting trained on it April 8th and 9th for our first training. So I'll let you know how it goes, but we're real excited about it. And you can also connect your SPs with it somehow. So I don't know how yet, but I'm hoping it works well.
Yeah.
I've been curious about that feature myself, so I'd be interested to hear some feedback on it.
Yeah. And maybe we can do a follow-up or something just so we can find out, because that is interesting, especially if you have a large simulation center, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, what was the maker of that product, Beth?
It's CAE Learning Space.
Okay.
And that it also has a video component to it. And to be honest with you, there was plenty of video companies that we could have used that we thought would do the job, but this had the addition of that inventory and center management that we wanted to make sure and get. That was what was really important to us, because it's 50,000 square feet. So it's pretty big.
Yeah, that sounds intriguing. Now, do you have to I mean, do you have a relationship with them in terms of using their mannequins, or are you just with their product for this service?
Yeah, we don't use their mannequins. We mainly have Laerdal and a couple of Gamard, and of course, lots of other little things, but we did not purchase their mannequins. Now, they've been purchased by another company, and supposedly they're going to be doing some innovative things. But at this point, we've stuck with who we knew, because we've got too much other stuff to learn at this point.
Mhm.
There's something to be said for that.
Yeah, Christina, correct me if I'm wrong, but because I did do a stint at UCF, do you guys still use learning spaces?
We do use Learning Space. I cannot say that we dive into the functionality of the inventory and the resources and all of that, just because the training, we just don't have a whole lot of time to figure it out. Up until about a year ago, it was just me and Sarita doing the whole thing. So we are tight.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so we use the video capabilities, the recording, scheduling activities, a little bit of the resources when you think about the rooms being scheduled formally, so we could see utilization, but it doesn't go much farther than that for us.
Mm.
I will say, Christina, we've just hired, we have 4 sim ops and an AV IT guy. And because we don't have our first students till June, we're hoping that we can get some of this done, because you're right. Once you're up and running, it's really difficult. So that's going to give us a little bit of an advantage.
Yeah, I highly recommend trying to squeeze as much training before it gets busy.
Great. Excellent. Well, good. Thanks, Beth. Keep me posted if anyone has a question. My next question, I guess, is what is one thing that you used to do a certain way, but you've since changed your mind about? So something you did a certain way and now you've changed your mind about it.
I'll go first. One of the things and there's many, right? Because, it's trial and error. A lot of times in this role in the operations side, you're really like experimenting and trying things out, and you think you have it all figured out when something new comes to the table. But early on in my tenure as the director here, I was very cost conscious. So I was very eager to demonstrate that I could be, frugal. And I thought, we are going to reuse every medication possible. I will have the guys refill the vials, so that we have medications for IM and sub-Q. And I'm going to make my own PO meds, and and it worked, right? There was a process for it. But as I look back now, or as we're getting busier, I'm letting go of some of that and realizing that there's a trade-off between the material costs and the time and labor costs. So I'm embracing the fact that there are people out there that are faster at producing some of these things, like some of our vendors, and I'm okay with purchasing. And when it comes to things that that aren't too unreasonable to purchase one-offs, but yeah, so that would be one of the things I think that I've done kind of a 180 on when it comes to tackling meds with simulation.
Can you give me an example? Is it like IV bags, or like what do you consider like something that you just spend the time doing?
Not so much IV bags. Well, yeah, not so much that, because of the difficulty with sealing them off. We've experimented with using the parafilm trick and some of those things so that you could respike either a piggyback or even a main a liter bag, but more so like the injectables, because after a while, I know all of you have probably experienced this with that little rubber stopper getting very shop worn, and then it leaks, or somebody isn't very careful about how much they fill, and then you end up with not enough in the vial, and then that can derail a sim. When a student thinks they're pulling up a whole ml, but only 0.6 comes out. So something like that, and also the like the PO meds. When I realized that for $20, I think it is, you can get I could be misremembering the amount, but a large quantity of scannable PO meds that have everything on it, including a non-expired date, or a date in the future, so that it doesn't look like you've got an expired med after you've kept it around for a while. Those kinds of things.
Yep. Well, nothing derails a sim when your student tells you, oh, it's expired, I can't use this. And you're like, oh, no. Just pretend it isn't, I guess.
It's a
Right.
trap.
They can stop
Yeah.
it cold, which is good pickup because that's what we train them to do. But
Right. I know it's great that they notice that, or it's great that they're, measuring carefully and, yeah, but to streamline the preparation ahead of time, I'm finding that sometimes spending a little money up front is the better way to go.
right. Christina, what about you? Did you have anything?
Kind of in the same vein, but more on a time efficiency way of doing things. I used to be really into actually using the IV functions on our mannequins and running fluids to the mannequins. But over time, like I said, since it was just me for so long, the cleaning process at the end of the day, when I would have 6 mannequins, sometimes more, sometimes less, and I have to switch the whole center into a different set of scenarios for the next morning, there's no way. There's no way I'd be there forever. So I just do the old, tube up the arm, bag out the back trick. And it's funny because as we were doing sim today, I actually learned a really, really silly trick. Me and my other operations person, we took the drain bag out the back of the mannequin and just flipped it upside down to refill the IV bag that was used. So
Perfect.
dumb, right? But it worked. And we were cackling because it's so silly, but we, didn't have to take the bag all the way to the break room to empty it out. And we didn't have to refill an IV bag or use a brand new IV bag. Who knew? I've been doing this forever.
Right? There's always something that we learn as we go through, right? And it really sounds like it comes down to time and how much you value your time in sim. Do you have other people that can do things for you? If you don't, sometimes you have to kind of work around some of these things. And I know I hear a lot about how people do mannequins, they run it through the mannequins, and some people don't. And it really is just a preference. So
I generally like to, but me and my coworker, we work in shifts. So she does 7 to 3-ish and I do 10 to 6-ish. So at the end of the day, I'm it. It's just me,
So Christina, we started doing this thing with I bought these sleeves. They're skin color, whatever color skin they are, and we were using them for our SPs and running putting the catheter in and then gluing it to the back side underneath and running it out, but it looks like skin. And we were using it on our SPs, but then we started using it on our mannequins too. So we just slide it up the arm and it's real fast. But I love your idea of flipping it back. That's brilliant.
yeah.
Do you know what that skin is called? Because I've been
I can look it up and show it to you. I'll pop it in the chat.
Eventually. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll pop it in the chat.
Excellent.
Yeah, Beth, I'm curious if the skin that you found, is it like a rubber or silicone texture, or is it a fabric texture?
It's a fabric texture. Yeah, it's just fabric. And I've got it in my Amazon, so I'll pop it in the chat in just a second.
I saw it once at one of our hospital-based simulation labs, and I was like, that is so nice. It just looks nicer.
One thing that I did kind of along that line is, and I did this actually for trying to convert one of my light-skinned mannequins to another skin color tone. So I bought opera length gloves, like from Amazon. I'm so sorry, I'm hearing my phone ringing somewhere. I'll get it in a second. So these would be like, and they're a little on the shiny side. They're like for Halloween. But the nice thing about it is it includes the fingers, and all the way up under the gown, and just creating a strategic hole where you want the IV site to appear. And there are some that are less shiny and more like for a spandex type material. And the nice thing is they're stretchy so that they can fit on different arm sizes.
Someone in the chat said that they use pantyhose, which I did not think about that. Brilliant.
Great idea.
Simple
Yeah,
and cheap.
that would be very inexpensive. Yeah, for sure.
And then you
Love
can have a
that.
variety of colors with it too. Whatever.
Great.
So you learn a lot by just talking to other people, right? I got like 5 new ideas now.
I
Alright.
popped it in the chat, but I just did the Caucasian color, but we also have different skin tones too.
Thanks, Beth. So that's
Yeah,
helpful.
thanks.
Anyone wants to check that out. So
I was gonna say, Beth, I don't have, I'm on my mobile, but I did the skin tone or the fair skinned fabric, and I just used some brown Rit dye and dyed it and just pulled out a pair when it about matched my medium skin tone mannequins, and I left it in to soak a little bit longer so it matches my dark skin tone mannequin.
Nice.
great.
Perfect.
I think Lori wanted to say something too, maybe.
Oh yeah, I just had a quick question about if are you using someone like Pocket Nurse to purchase meds, and then do you have unopened meds for every learner, or do you reuse some of the things that are opened, or how does that work for you?
Well, for our lab, we do purchase quite a few things from Pocket Nurse, and I was going to say, I know that there are other companies out there like Walker and some other, but it's kind of nice to stay with one family so that the students get a little more familiar with like the spelling, that they'll write the med name that looks just about right. I really like the labels that they sell for IV vials. I use the labels for vitamin K, for the steroid, dexamethasone, Decadron, Dilaudid, and a couple of others. And that's really nice because those stickers are, I want to say, you get a spool of 100 for not a lot of money. And then for PO meds, I buy them the big boxes from them as well. How about you, Christina? Where do you get your meds?
Usually a mixture either of Pocket Nurse or Walker, depending on what I'm looking for. Like I just bought the other day one of those giant things of pills. We still on some of our regional campuses, I found a couple of pill containers that had Smarties in them. So yeah, I'm just trying to replace all those little guys. We don't do a whole lot of the single dose little packages. We have them, but it's just for us a little bit easier. We don't do the scanning right now. So it's mostly calculation, I guess, for them. So we just have the bottles with the label and then the fake pills.
Sharon posted in the chat just about what she purchased, so y'all might want to look at that.
That's exactly what I do with the Word document.
So many ways, right?
Yeah. For IV meds, I tend to buy, one flavor of fluid and then make labels. I find that I have more control over what I want the labels to look like. And then, I use packing tape to cover over the paper so that it doesn't get ruined in case of moisture, from anything. I know that there are some really nice labels from Avery also. You can get lucky and order the right sizes that will fit on certain bags and syringes and that sort of thing. Like the specialty meds though, for instance, like Lovenox, I made the judicious decision to purchase the I think they are from Pocket Nurse, one per sim instance, because we do have a sim that calls for that, and I just feel like it's not easy to refill that particular one. I think because of the mechanism involved, just like in the Real Med with that little gas bubble, and so it's kind of a trade-off, even though those are like 10 or 11 bucks a pop, which is a little bit, painful, but it's, I feel like, oh, they've gone up. Oh, I just see the chat. Somebody said they're $13 each now. Yeah. So it's one of those trade-offs though.
Mhm.
I bought a label maker on Amazon. I don't have it because I'm at home to put it in the thing in the chat, but you can copy from your desktop and make labels of any size that is compatible with that printer. They make one that is like coated so that if it gets wet, it doesn't run. And that has actually been like huge game changer for me personally. And I want to say that I bought that little device for like $50 or so. And then the refills, and that you can get them in all different colors and papers. So I use different ones for different things. They were anywhere from $6 or $7 for a whole roll to, like $12 a roll. But I really like the one that's plastic coated or whatever on the top, so that if it does get wet, it doesn't run or whatever. So it just
Was
makes
it a Nimbot?
I'm sorry.
Was it a Nimbot?
I'm so
'Cause
sorry. I saw it on Instagram of all places. Students were doing the diagrams of like anatomy,
Oh,
and they can print the labels for their notes.
yeah.
That's how I found it originally. And so there's like a bazillion different ones on Amazon. And so I just bought one to try, and it actually worked really good because I used to use the Avery labels also. But sometimes getting those bigger ones can be challenging, and then getting it all lined up to where it doesn't cut off on the sides and stuff. So, but I apologize. I don't have it with me, so I don't remember what it's called.
I just popped in the chat. Farah posted a question. Do you all include simulated medication simulation, not for human use? Not for human use. And I popped in the chat the healthcare simulation safety group that has a label that you can use. If anybody doesn't do that, we put them on all of our things, even our flushes we open and put it on there. So that if for accreditation, that's really important. The flushes are my biggest concern because students stick them in their pockets. And if we refill them with water and they were to take one into the hospital, it just makes my heart sick. So it's really important that we do that. And there's lots of good ideas in the chat popping up.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm loving this.
For our flushes, I no longer use the flushes from the hospital. I would get donated expired flushes, and we would, expel out the salt water, the saline, and then refill it with distilled water. But I also donated a whole bunch of 10 ml syringes. And so I just made labels, and I said saline flush, distilled water, not for human use. And I had I have a federal lab worker that I have, and she just taped those onto the 10 ml syringes, and those are our flushes.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, that is good.
Yeah, great idea. This is helpful. Awesome. So I have another question. So excluding mannequins, describe your favorite technology-based solution in your simulation lab.
I'll go first on this one. And mine might be a little bit boring. I wish I could say something like virtual reality, the HoloLens, but on a day-to-day, what I find myself using 1,000 times, and it's gotten me out of so many pickles, iPads and laptops, just spares. Just having spares. I have gotten out of trouble so many times. I've been able to help the students, sometimes if they don't do their pre-simulation activities, they have to look certain things up before their simulation. So we can bust out a couple of laptops or bust out a couple of iPads. Use it as a patient monitor when something decides to start updating in the middle of a simulation. Just countless uses, and it's invaluable just to have extras.
Yeah.
Well, thanks. What about you, Valerie?
Yeah, so I mean, I could quote a film. I love technology, but yeah, probably the thing that we get the most use out of is the electronic health record that I developed for our lab. It started from very, very meager beginnings with just a single flow sheet that one of the lab instructors wanted to use for the fundamentals students. And it has morphed and grew into a fully functional system that allows the students to, read the orders. It allows the instructors to monitor how the students are charting in real time during the scenario so that we can sort of get the sense of, oh, they didn't hear that right, or oh, look, they've taken this much time to, get this information down. And since I have 4 campuses that I serve, my main campus is at Stores, and we have 3 regional campuses. It allows me to replicate the charts that I've built, so that I only have to create it once, and then I can duplicate it and get it out to the students in the other areas. I can share it with my faculty ahead of time to give them like a preview, a sneak preview of what the scenario is going to be like. And I never have to try to calculate, oh, how old is this guy today? Because the system is set up so that, it does a lot of those heavy lifting calculations for us.
Yeah, excellent. I think
Christina, what kind of monitor do you like if you have to use your iPad as a monitor? Do you use a certain program? We use SimMon. I didn't know if you use something, or do you
Say yours again.
SIMNMON, SimMon?
I'm not familiar with that one. I usually use a PC for that. So I can just open up Leap,
Okay.
Leap Light or
Yeah.
whatever. There's another one called, I have it bookmarked. It's like MedSim Vision or something. Maybe somebody that's listening knows what I'm talking about, but some person created it, and I've used it a few times in here. And an important note that I should probably say, since my IT guys are not actually on here, they need to be unlocked. No admin credentials needed. That's what makes them useful.
Okay.
good point.
So you can download stuff that, you don't need admin credentials, because I don't have admin credentials in my organization. So
Nope.
That's a great point. Okay. So has anyone else in the chat developed their own kind of charting system or something that they can, because Valerie, it sounds like very cost effective, and I know you're not giving yourself a ton of credit, but you did present this at INACSL, so I know that it's pretty cool. A pretty intense version of I think you said you use Google Docs or something like that to create it, and it does it all, and you can reset it from sim to sim. So what an amazing way to kind of cost savings and to be able to meet your objectives. So good. The HR tutor. Okay, good. Yeah, there's so many out there. Like, it just really depends on what your flavor is. All right, great. So my other question is, what advice do you have for developing simulation operations specialists? Like, what would you tell somebody new to this area?
I guess I can go first. I would say, as somebody who's still developing currently, we all are, of course, but be persistent with your own development, because it's very, very easy to get swept up in the day-to-day and just showing up, being, crazy town all day, and then going home and doing absolutely nothing other than the hard work. So always seek out those opportunities for trainings or webinars that are free. Even if you don't have organizational funding, still try to get into a conference, or at least the vendor exposition only admission or whatever. Anything is a networking opportunity, and also try to make friends, because everybody in simulation so far that I've met is amazing.
Excellent. What about you, Valerie?
Yeah, well, I would say, definitely take advantage of the resources that places like INACSL offer. And a lot of times, I think when you're new into sim, whether it be on the operations side or on the education side, you might be a one-person show. But I think the biggest way to grow the quickest is to network and connect with others. And like with our SIG, for instance, it's an informal place, but there's a lot of, assistance that we give each other. We bring ideas or questions, to the table. And I think, joining organizations, seeking out those opportunities, like Christina mentioned, in terms of like webinars and, and as boring as it may sound, read, because there's a lot of information out there. But yeah, connecting and networking, I would say, is a big way to grow your experience and your effectiveness.
Mhm. Yeah,
I
even
think it's,
oh,
sorry.
sorry, Christina. Even today, I've just learned some things, which is really, really great.
I was gonna say, it's funny that Valerie said what she said, because a very wise woman once taught me to read the instruction manuals. It was Valerie. Valerie said it. And that's one of those things that I feel so embarrassed sometimes, because I will have an issue and I think it's just an anomaly, and it's right there in the instruction manual.
Like stating the obvious, right? We all think we
Right,
know how to do
right.
it, so we have to read the instruction manual or go to a YouTube video.
Oh yeah, we all think we're mannequin pros.
Yep, been
And then
there
we get humbled.
very quickly. Excellent. Do we have any questions in the chat? I don't see anything.
No, I just wanted to say one other thing, Hollis, about
Sure.
sim operations is, the healthcare simulation standard of best practice professional development kind of has a pathway for all. When we wrote that standard, we intentionally didn't call it faculty, because not everybody's faculty, and it's important for everybody to have professional development. So it talks in there about finding a mentor. It talks about, of course, somebody said read, stay in with the literature, go to conferences. But there's a needs assessment that's been developed for faculty, and it's called the Senate. But right now they're working on one for SimOps. And I tried to find the link. They're piloting it right now, or they're doing, I guess, a review of it with experts. And I can't find it right now, but it's important to do a needs assessment. So to sit down with your person that's above you, or that your peers, and talk about what you know about X, Y, or Z. What do you know about the standards? What do you know about accreditation? What do you know about all these different areas? You can look at the standard, and it has lots of resources for you to compare what you know against. And once you've done that, then you can kind of develop a professional development plan with yearly goals, and then evaluate those goals at the end of the year and see where you need to continue to work, or what goals you've met. So that would just be one suggestion I have.
Great. I'm very
And
informal. Christina,
I'll
put in
tech.
the chat. What
Oh,
was
so Nat.
on that?
Yeah,
The Senate, I'll put it in there.
Okay.
I saw one that came through, I don't know if it was through private channels or official channels, but it was a needs assessment towards operations people, and I think it was SONAT.
I was gonna say,
That is the one for you're right. It's for the operations, and the Senate is the one I was the second one I was talking about.
Right.
there was something I was going to tack on to what you were just talking about, Beth. Oh, shucks. Oh, I know. Anybody who is going to go into simulation operations, whether it be at the technician level, coordinator, or director level, because the other half of, like, our SIG, for instance, is, technology. I would just strongly advise not to be afraid to, because, and sorry, I've got somebody joining us here, my little guy. If so-and-so can do it, you can do it too. Do not be intimidated just because the word is technology. We don't have to be, ultra nerdy brainiacs, to tackle and overcome, the challenges that come with our roles. And yeah, that I would just encourage everybody, just try and seek and definitely, connect and lean on each other.
Yeah, great point. Which is why we have fireside chats, and why we have SIG groups, and why we have INACSL. Is the more you can kind of meet and talk to other people and see what they're doing, it feeds your confidence into doing your everyday. So great. Anyone have any questions? I'm just keeping an eye on the chat too, so to make sure I'm not overlooking anything.
I think another thing that I would be remiss if I didn't mention is still, I think there's a little bit of, I don't know if barrier is the right word, but there's definitely a delineation between faculty and staff, particularly in the academic environments. And what I find that helped me get on some projects or just being involved with what they were working on is to just be willing, because guaranteed any faculty member who's involved in research and projects, they need help. They want people on their side, especially operations, somebody that knows how to use the HoloLens headsets, you know, that can speak to it at a presentation, or, you know, they're not out here playing on the HoloLens on a regular basis like we are. So as often as things kind of recycle and the software updates, their instructions or whatever they're used to following is not updated anymore. So make yourself useful. That's pretty much, I think, the way in anywhere.
Mhm. Yeah, you bring up a good point that I think some people are afraid to talk about, but you're right. I have experienced that in my career too. There sometimes is like a line in the sand, if you will. And I think by trying to blur that line and be involved and kind of be on the same page, hopefully it'll solidify relationships a little bit better so that everybody sees that we're all doing the same thing with the same intention for the students or for the wherever you are, if you're in healthcare environment, we're all working for the same team. But your expertise is your expertise. And I should be able to look for you to say, I need some help here, because we're even talking about, we don't even know everything when it comes to this. So how can we expect others who don't use it as frequently as we do to understand it? So, but yeah.
I have a question.
Sure.
Our sim lab has significantly grown, and I have been the sim educator and operator and done every role, and I'm now working on a job description for a sim operator. What background do you recommend as a background for this role to troubleshoot IT issues, software updates, sim capture video, etc.?
Good question. Who wants to tackle that one?
Well, I don't know that I have the answer that you might be looking for. I could just share that the 3 sim techs who work in my field, none of them have a distinct IT background. I guess they come with some prior IT experience of sorts, like working at a help desk. But I was sharing this last week with Hollis. One has a degree in music, the other in literature, and the third guy was a professional photographer. So I think more so, instead of the background, I would say if they come with a certain skill set, and that is a willingness to explore alternate options for solving problems, an openness to accept suggestions from others, and an extreme, you know, like have it in spades, that they are willing to be adaptable. I think that makes a great sim operations person. I know that a lot of folks enter into operations from a variety of backgrounds, though. EMTs, that seems to be a common background for some departments. And there's nothing wrong with a nurse being in operations too. I mean, you would think if it's like in the nursing sims that they might be the educators, but they certainly could, hold both of those roles down. Because it's sometimes nice to be able to know it from both sides, from what do I need from the educational perspective, and what are my capabilities from the operations side. So actually being the director like myself, I can kind of see the issue from both sides. Who else wants to add to that train of thought?
I can also add just curiosity in general. We were laughing about it last week because my master's degree is in criminal justice. But I've kind of found myself in nursing labs just back in the day, part-time jobs. Hey, what's this weird thing in the closet? You mean you've never used it before? Let's take it out. What does it do? And just playing with stuff. And that did not mean I was an expert at that moment, but just messing around, being curious, wondering how things work, why they work. Also, I would say having a respect for technology. Rather, I wouldn't recommend that somebody who is petrified of a computer, I would not recommend that this is the job for them. But by all means, I do not think an IT background as a solid foundation is required.
Erica has her hand up. I was hoping she would
Hi.
answer.
I jumped in a little late, so I do apologize, but this is such a riveting conversation. My name is Eric. I'm the Simulation Technology Manager at the University of Texas at Arlington, but I'm also the president of SimGhost. And I think that's a really good question to ask as far as a growing team. I am also like Christina, where my background, my undergraduate is in exercise science and my master's is in healthcare simulation. I don't have an IT background, and I would just capitalize if this is something that you're trying to fill. So somebody who has an AV or IT position, to hire somebody with that background, just because it is a very unique level of learning with very specific certifications as well. Not that anybody can't cross over. I'm just going based off of my experience and working with my simulation technicians. And one of my favorite things about my team is that we are very diverse. Some people have bachelor's degrees or associate's degrees, medical background, IT background. And I've had that privilege to be able to fill those roles and responsibilities because I have the team withband to be able to do that versus being on a team that is very small of 1 to 3 people, where then you're going to have to know a little bit about a lot of things. And Beth, I don't know if I'm allowed to, but SimGhost has a capability framework that I would like to share with the community. And what that framework does is it outlines specific roles and responsibilities from a healthcare simulation technology specialist, from novice to intermediate, from IT to medical to research, that I think could add a lot of value to the conversation as well. And if, I don't know, Beth, if you're in charge or not, but if she gives me the thumbs up, I'd be more than happy. She's like, no, I'm not in
Alice
charge.
is in charge, but I think it's fine.
Okay. I don't want it to be a conflict of interest or anything.
No, anything to help our people, I think it's good.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I think the whole purpose of this is really informal conversations, right?
Okay.
So I think that's fine. As long as we're not singling out one area or another, I think it's fine. I would love that, Erica. Thank you. Excellent. So that was a great discussion, because that I think is one of the things that, even in talking to my faculty and staff, you think of a SimOps person, you automatically go to that IT background. And although it can be, and it could be, it doesn't necessarily have to be, but it's going to vary wherever you are and whatever your group is. So thank you, Erica, for sharing. That was excellent. All right, we're keeping an eye on the clock for us because this is great. So coming back to my questions real quick, what was one thing that you shared or took away from the INACSL during your membership? So what is something that, since you've joined INACSL, that you've been able to take away from INACSL while you've been a part of it?
Well, I could just simply say my whole career has benefited from the belonging to INACSL and other groups too. I don't want to say but like I mentioned earlier, I attended the that fellowship back in 2015, 2016, when I was just had a few years as an educator under my belt. But just the interactions, the networking, the opportunities to present, and to, and the standards of best practice. Oh my gosh, if for nothing else, that enlightened me as to what, what simulation should be, the whole kit and caboodle. I could go on and on, but I probably shouldn't, because I need to leave something for Christina to say.
Well, lucky for you, I am actually a brand new member. So I have not really had the opportunity, outside of being part of the special interest group, to participate in almost anything INACSL related yet. I'm looking forward to hopefully maybe being able to go to the conference this summer. Of course, the standards of best practice, though, are something that we have posted huge in our lab. We go by them, they're tiebreakers a lot of the times. And I'm also in a graduate simulation certificate program right now, so I'm constantly referencing those standards of best practice. So those I'm obviously very happy and grateful for, but I think my participation so far in this group has been one of the coolest things, because as a staff member, I don't go to a lot of conferences. And so there's not a whole lot of person-to-person networking that I get to take part in, other than maybe forums online. So having a little bit of face-to-face interaction with other people who are kind of in the same boat as I am, or, you know, brainstorming with other people on the best way to do things, I think that's been great.
And that's coming from a new person into INACSL, right? So look at all the things you've been able to tap in since you've been here. So okay. Anyone else have anything on that? I think
There's been some conversation in the chat. Greg started a little post about what is the title that SIMGO suggests to use so that the federal government adopts the term for data collection. And Billy said that they have made a suggestion to the, I guess, Department of Labor. Is that what that DOL is, I guess?
Correct.
And they are waiting to get a response back from them. I think that's, some people are working on the SIM dictionary too, from all different groups, so INACSL and SSH, etc. And I think that's one thing that I would love to see, just terms across the board, you know, called the same thing. It's so difficult for people to be named different things, because we used to call them SIM specialists, and then we changed it. And anyway, and then when you say SIM tech, people think you have to be a technology person, and that's not what that means necessarily. It may have that component, but sorry, Erica, you were going to say something.
No, I can give a quick update on the Department of Labor work group. So the work group consists of folks both from SIMGO, INACSL, ASPE, and SSH, and there's about 2 people from each of those organizations that are dedicated to the work group. Nothing has been formalized. Unfortunately, working with the Department of Labor could take anywhere from this year to about 4 years from now. And that's opening up that gate kind of wide. And so we're going to be optimistic that hopefully it doesn't take that long. With that said, a part of that process is trying to formalize titles. So nothing is official as of right now. Not only that, are we trying to formalize a word or phrase for simulation operations specialists, but also for standardized patient educators and standardized patients as a whole too. So ASPE has their, there's one big work group, and they're going to be broken up into 2 different sections, one that's going to work on the technology side and one that's going to work on the ASPE side, to help formalize those terminologies, those titles as well. So there will definitely be more to come. The work group has just started post IMSH, so it very much so in its infancy, and trying to get 12 plus people on the same schedule.
Great. Well, that's helpful. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, that's very informative. All right, well, we have about 6 minutes left. So my last question. Oh, yes.
I was going to say, I just had something I wanted to say before we do run out of time, related to the SIG and why Christina and I are here, and what I see the purpose of our SIG. It's for things just like this. Forums are great. They're wonderful to be able to search back to those old, older posts and, search terms, and you can find answers to sometimes your burning questions. But it's nothing like coming together on a regular basis and talking through a question or sharing something that you're excited about sharing with others, and doing it in a synchronous way. And we haven't fine point detailed exactly what our purpose is, but if nothing else, I think that's kind of circling around the target in terms of why I think our SIG it's a little different, but I think it's really important for INACSL that this is it's different from educating and research and NPs and which are all other valuable focus areas. But I every meeting that we've held so far, I take these little nuggets from Beth and from Christina and from some of the other folks that jump on, that I'm really excited about this new and burgeoning SIG that we have going, and it's been great to be a part of so far.
Yeah. Excellent. Well, I think one of my next question was, how do you get involved? So if there are people on this call that really are intrigued or want to be involved or want to learn more, I think, the best thing is to get involved with a SIG or with an INACSL or with both, or do what you're doing today, just jump on and have an informal conversation. But we're always welcoming new people to discuss things with and be part of us. So I think Alyssa was going to quickly show us how to join the SIG. If someone wants to do that, Alyssa, are you available?
Yes, I
Perfect.
am here. Let me pop that up on the screen real quick so everyone can see.
Because sometimes it's not as easy to navigate in the website sometimes. So we want to make sure
Yes.
those who are new to an Axel are able to find what they need.
Yep, perfect. So when you get to the INACSL website here, you'll see our homepage. You'll want to log in to your member account before trying to access or join a SIG or a RIG within the INACSL community. So ensure you're logged in. You'll see a login button here instead of member log out if you are not logged in. So make sure you're logged in with your member credentials first. Once you're all logged in, you'll head over to this About section. And under here, you'll see both links for our special interest groups or our regional interest groups. I'm going to click special interest groups for today to give you a sneak peek here. Once you are on this new page, you can see a list of the current SIGs that we offer here at INACSL, along with a short description of each. If you'd like to join any of these SIGs, right here at the top of the page, you are going to see a link that says click here to join. You'll click that link. And then on this new page, you will see a list of those that you can join. So here's your SIG add-on, here's your RIG add-on. You can check off any that you'd like or multiple if you are interested in joining many. There is no fee for joining our SIGs or RIGs. So once you've checked off those that you'd like to join, you'll hit the next button down here and that will add you to those communities. Once you're added to those communities, you'll have access to the different files, meetings, videos, anything that SIG posts within their community, you'll have access to that. If you have any trouble joining a SIG or a RIG, or are already a part of a SIG or a RIG but aren't receiving notifications, feel free to reach out to our staff team at inaxlinfo@inaxl.org. I'll also pop that into the chat here in a second. But our staff team is happy to help out if you are having any difficulty or need some more information on how to join.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks, Alyssa. So we're getting close to our time, so I don't know if there's any other burning questions somebody wants to throw in the chat or raise their hand and ask before we close. Give it a minute in case somebody... I usually stay on a little bit longer afterwards just in case. So I don't see any hands up. Do you guys see any hands up? No? Okay. So thank you all for joining us today around the campfire. Special thank you to Christina and Valerie for being with us today. Really appreciate all your knowledge and expertise and insight. Hopefully this has been helpful. We're again going to run hopefully another fireside chat at INACSL and then one in the summer. I also want to thank my team because it takes a village, Beth, Lori, and Alyssa, all the behind the scenes things. And so hopefully we'll see you next time. So on our fireside chat. Until then, stay warm.